Hello dear ones, this is Eleonora from the channel The Awakening Path, and today I will talk to you about ego mind and mental programming. I know I promised to talk about intuition, but I think it's very important for you to understand your ego mind and the mental programming that plays a huge part in your perception before I talk about intuition. Before I started, I would like to give a big thank you for each one of you that support my channel by subscribing, leaving your like, your questions, your comments. And if you think the information I'm bringing is helping you, it's helping you to expand your awareness, to bring you more inner peace. Share with your friends, share with your family, share in your social media. Let's have more people benefit from this information. So, what is the ego mind? When we are born, we are given two thought systems. One is our internal guidance system that's connected with our higher self, that knows the purpose for this lifetime and is always guiding us to the best next steps towards our purpose in this incarnation. And the other one is the ego mind. The ego mind is responsible to keep our body alive with the best of our ability to keep our body alive. So the ego mind is the one is ready to give you a quick response every time that there is a real threat to your life. That's the real function of the ego mind. And it's always used, most of the time used fear. But there is two aspects of fear. There is the real fear that comes up when you are in front of a bear, for example. Suddenly you are in front of a bear, your adrenaline goes high, and then the ego mind will kick in and say, or he'll tell you to run, to hide, to climb, or to pretend you're dead. I know that's radical, but that's the real function of the ego mind. But your ego mind also, it's always playing a part on keep our body alive, but it can see only the present. So, for example, if you are hungry, and the only thing you have is chocolate cake in front of you, your ego mind will tell, go and eat all this chocolate cake. Do that and we don't need to worry about food for several hours. That's what your ego mind is gonna tell. It doesn't care if you're gonna get sick or you're gonna get fat. It doesn't care about the consequences. It cares about what you're going to do in the present. The real problem of the ego mind is when it started to be used to manage your life. By using past experiences, especially the bad ones, to tell you what to do, how to manage your future. That's the problem. And most of the time, we allow our ego mind to manage our life unconsciously. How you do that? Because since we were born, I regret to tell that even before we were born, on the tummy of your mom, we started to be under this programming, this mental programming, that tell you a loss of life that doesn't serve you. When you are in the tummy of your mom, you can feel everything that she feels. And you also can hear everything. And it stays in your subconscious. You don't remember, but it stays in your subconsciousness. So that mental programming that didn't happen by accident. It was installed by some governments, some powers of be that wanted people to be enslaved and not really use their full mental capacity. And the way that is done, those mental programs, it program us to be always in a state of fear. But that fear is not the fear when you are in front of a bear. It's the false evidence appearing real. A fear of something that is not happening. A fear, for example, of not having enough money to pay the rent. That's a false evidence appearing real. So we suffer this mental programming through our society, culture, parents, family, television, government, education, religion. It's everywhere. I'm not saying that your parents are doing purpose. They don't know. They just don't know better. So this programming, how is programming? Through repetition. For example, when you are a child and you go to school, your internal guide system is saying, I want to go play. I want to go play. That's what I want to do. I want to do some creative things but outside. But your programming at school will say, no, you need to be seated for at least, you need to be seated for 4 hours or even more in a hard chair. And if you don't do, you're going to get punished. And then some brave ones will try to rebel, and then they get punished. The others will see them get punished, and then they just stay. Those programs override our internal guide systems to install those programs. And then they say, oh, but that's for their one good. Who knows? I'm not going to really discuss that. But that's just an example. Another example is many things that you hear. For example, many of us doesn't have enough money because of beliefs that was programming in our mind that is holding us from attracting abundance. So there is many more mental programs. For example, there is a huge mental programming that tell us to be constantly buying things that we don't need. We think that we get that thing, it may make us happy. But sometimes minutes after we get it, didn't make us happy. But there is that mental programming to gather material things in an attempt to bring inner peace, but that doesn't work that way. So there is many ways to break free from those programs. And again, started to listen to our true intuition, through our get back the control of our life from our ego mind and use our intuition and become again in alignment with our true self. I think everybody already knows that we were created by God like himself. That was not talking about the body. was talking about the aspects of God, and God is love. So we are love. Our body is designed to feel love. So when we choose love, everything works as it's supposed to work. We are in our natural state, because the light keeps flowing through our chakras and go through all over our body, and we are connected to the light of the universe, and manifestations happen and all of that. But when we choose fear, we block the light. When we choose fear, that's the opposite of love, not hate. The opposite of love is fear. And then we block that light from flow. And then that's when we cause suffering to our life. That's when we bring sickness, disease to our body. So there is many, many ways to break free from those programming. And they are there most of the time because we don't even know they are there. For example, every time that you make a decision, when you have a thought, the emotion that you are having depends on the belief that you hold about the thing you are thinking. But most of those beliefs are not in your conscious mind, it's in your subconscious. Most of those beliefs are in your subconscious. And you don't even know they are there. You don't even know they are there. You don't even know most of the time why you feel what you feel. You don't know. When somebody says something wrong, something that causes some trigger on you, that you feel bad about, and then instead of looking inside, oh, what belief I had that is triggering by what the person said. The person just said, can go for a lunch with me today. What on my subconsciousness that's make me feel bad? Because I guarantee you, it's not the fact that the person cannot go to lunch with you that day. That's not the real reason. It's hidden in your subconscious. So there is a lot to talk about that. And I just wanted to explain that our ego mind right now, for most of us, we have been managed by our ego mind through the mental programming. Why they even had the time to do that? Because we create with our emotions. And our emotions depend on what we are thinking about, but more specifically on the perception about what we are thinking about. And our perception depends on our beliefs. But when you hear 1,000 times in your whole life that money doesn't go in three, that you have to work hard to get money, that everybody that's rich are bad, so you're not going to attract abundance. So, and that's not the truth. That's not the truth. Because our true nature is love, and love is abundance too. The opposite of many religions say, we didn't come here to suffer and sacrifice and be miserable. No. We also didn't come here to to hold the loss of physical things that we don't need and destroy the earth. We didn't come here for that either. But we came here with the ability to attract to us all the abundance that we can live the best way we can, being the true self that's joyful and happy and in peace and has absolutely lack of nothing, because love is abundance and we are love. And the only time we suffer is when we get away from love. So I think that's all for today. Much love and light to you. You just remember to subscribe and leave your like, and see you next time.